Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is for GCSE English language students who are doing the comparison question writing summaries, sometimes called just the summary question, sometimes called the synthesis question if you want to go a bit fancy, because when we synthesize information, we take information from different sources and put it together into one. And that's essentially what you're doing with this response. You're taking two extracts and you're writing a comparative summary about those things. This is for paper 2 question 2 if you are studying the AQA specification. The question that we are going to be looking at is the November 2022 paper, which was all about failing to get to sleep or insomnia. And this was the question. In both sources, the writers try various ways to get to sleep, most of which fail. Use details from both sources to write a summary of what you understand about the different ways the writers try but fail to get to sleep. And I put it in red there because that's the most important bit of the task. We have to look in our extracts for evidence that proves that both writers have tried to get to sleep or tried to find ways to get to sleep, but ultimately fail, and it doesn't actually help at all. For the purposes of time, and in the interest of time, and for the purposes of this video, I haven't actually included the whole extract. I've just included sections of the extracts where the information is. And that's something important because even though you're going to get essentially 2 pages of writing for this exam, particularly for AQA, the answers won't necessarily be throughout the answer. The answers will all be perhaps hidden in one paragraph. So you have to have a keen eye for detail and almost have a metaphorical magnifying glass as you're reading. As you're reading, important to have a highlighter in hand to start highlighting or circling or putting a star next to the things you want to quote from, because this is a question where you need to be quoting evidence from the texts. So this is what the writer of source A says. Insomnia began when I was 10. I would deliberately keep myself awake to pick over the day. It would take me 5 or 6 hours to get to sleep, and even then it would be interrupted. My immune system was shot. I lived on the edge of nerves. I fought it with remedies from the herbal to the hard stuff, but it just seemed to get worse. I felt as if I had tried every known cure going, and there are plenty, given almost a third of us admit to being sleep deprived. I tried giving up coffee, sugar, and heavy dinners, still awake. Baking at 3 a.m, still awake and getting fatter. Hypnosis, which did nothing at all. In desperation, I bought a therapeutic electromagnetic mattress to recalibrate my energy field. It just gave me a stiff back. Sleeping pills knocked me out for a few days, then the insomnia crept back. So from those 2 paragraphs, from the extract, you need to be finding quotes that tell you about the things that this writer tried to do to get to sleep, but those things ultimately failed and didn't work. Okay. Source B, same approach, different writer though, different time period. This is the 19th century extract. You know what it is to lie awake at night, I suppose, while every human creature in the house is sleeping. In vain have you tried saying the multiplication table. In vain have you repeated poetry by the yard, or counted to 100. In vain have you done any of the foolish things recommended in such cases. 2 o'clock has just struck, and no sleep has followed. Well, if you can't sleep, you won't sleep, that's all. You'll just get up and strike a light and read. You do it, but the fire is low, and cold shivers run up and down your backbone. 3 o'clock. You're hungry. Yes, that must be it. You'll go to the cupboard and get a bit of cold chicken. Good heavens, it's gone. And again, obviously your extracts in the exam will be longer than this, but this is where all our answers are in that extract. So again, like with source A, you need to take your highlighter and start to highlight or circle or write down or put an asterisk by or whatever you want to do to pick out from this information which is about things they tried to get to sleep but they didn't work. Once you've done that with both texts, you are in a position to start to put the texts and the information side by side in preparation for writing a summary. And you can see here I've taken the quotes from both sources, and I've also put in words like suggesting or this suggests or implying, which are really good words to prompt you to give some inference. And remember, inference is important with this question because it's your interpretation of the evidence in your own words. So what you're asking yourself is, what does this mean? If she's given up coffee, sugar and heavy dinners in source A, What does that mean? Why those foodstuffs? What is she trying to do by giving up those foods and drinks, those beverages? If she's gone to the hard stuff, or herbal remedies, or hypnosis, or she's got a new mattress, what does that suggest she's trying to do? And conversely, with source B, how would you describe all the ways that she tries to get to sleep? Counting, repeating poetry, reading, remembering the multiplication tables. What does this mean about the way she approaches insomnia? And what are all these strategies linked by, I suppose? What links them all together? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this video by showing you a grade 2 answer and then a grade 4 or above answer to show you the difference. So here we have an example of a grade 2 answer. In source A, the writer decides to give up coffee and sugar because she feels that they are bad for her. I tried giving up coffee, sugar and heavy dinners. The writer of source B says that she will go downstairs and have something to eat, but when she goes to the kitchen all the chicken has gone. You'll go to the cupboard and get a bit of cold chicken. So this is a grade 2 answer because the inferences are very simple. The student doesn't really have confidence in working out, what this information means in their own words. The quotes are arguably too long, and they're also not embedded. They're just kind of tacked on at the end of the idea, which doesn't really suggest great confidence here. And it's also clearly very concise. There are other things that could have been said, which weren't. And that suggests, again, like this candidate doesn't really have a confidence with what they are working with here. So if that's a grade 2 answer, let's look at a grade 4 or above answer. It's going to be longer, of course. In source A, the writer made changes to her diet, such as decreasing coffee and sugar intake, because she knows that caffeine and sugar are both likely to prevent you from sleeping because they are stimulants. People drink coffee to stay awake, not go to sleep. She also tried her own herbal remedies and the hard stuff, meaning she has likened insomnia to some kind of medical condition that needs treating with medication. She also changed her mattress and sought hypnosis, suggesting she is trying a variety of ways to get sleep, which she understands as a complex and deep and debilitating medical problem. However, the writer of source B uses simpler and more traditional mental activities, such as counting in her head, reading, and reciting poetry, which are all things she could do herself without needing anyone else. She also thought she couldn't sleep because she was hungry, so she knew enough about diet to know it is sometimes difficult to sleep if we have empty stomachs. So here we have a compelling and detailed inferences. That bit about knowing that sugar and coffee, for example, are both stimulants is very clever. They know that themselves, so they've put that in. The quoting is quite concise and relevant and apt, and it's clearly consistent on the task. They're answering the question that they have been set. And as always is the case with English, answering the question is often one of the fundamental things that students need to do to get the marks. So that is an example of the approach to this kind of summary writing task, or reading task I should say, and how you should write it, how you should think about it, and then finishing off here with what the examiner is aiming you to write like in order for you to get a particular grade. So thank you very much for watching, and good luck.